We'll start in 2 minutes. Good evening, everyone. I'm calling this meeting of the regular meeting of the Village Board to order at 7:16. This meeting has been given public notice in accordance with section 19.83 and 19.84 Wisconsin statutes in such form that will apprise the general public and news media of subject matter that is intended for consideration and action. Roll call is showing that all trustees are present. I ask that if you can to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and for a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We are now on to the President's report. Good evening, everyone. Our village administrator was supposed to be wearing a Bears jersey this evening as we made a friendly wager during the Bear-Packer game a week ago where the Bears won. Seeing that the Bears lost last night to the Rams, I gave Steve the option of wearing it or not. But I know he's going to go down the right path and do something.
I will hold this up and say I did lose the bet. But if I can just say one thing, go Bears and take the Cubs with you.
That was good. That was good. So it was a good game last night. It wasn't the outcome that we liked, but I was pleasantly surprised that we got that far. So it's only taken us 40 years. I would like to share what has been going on since my last update. In my news you can use section, there are several updates. First, I'd like to comment on the passing of Germantown resident Ken Miller, father of trustee Rick Miller. Mr. Miller was an icon in our community. He worked for the Wisconsin Army National Guard and retired after 42 years in the Wisconsin National Guard with a rank of CW4 as a communications officer. Mr. Miller worked on the Milwaukee area Air Defense Nike program for 13 years, which involved into the Nike Hercules nuclear missile program. Mr. Miller was also an elected official on the Washington County Board of Supervisors. He served there for 24 years, with 12 of those being the county board chairman. According to published reports, his proudest involvement was the creation of Washington County Fair Park Complex and was also integral part of the Washington County Golf Course acquisition and subsequent building of the course. He will be missed. The visitation for Mr. Miller will be held this Saturday, January 24, from 11 a.m. until 3 p.m. at the Washington County Fair Park Pavilion in West Bend, Wisconsin. Rick, we send you and your family our love and our continued prayers.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Moving on, this past week was busy with many events and meetings. I attended the Germantown Area Chamber of Commerce's 2026 Chamber Kickoff Social at the Sticks Golf, and I won't tell you what I shot. I also attended the Community Leadership Think Tank meeting presented by the Germantown School District at their district office. Finally, I attended the Plan Commission, the Tourism Commission, and portions of the Economic Development Commission meetings. And specific to the EDC, subsequently, an awareness document was shared with all of the commissioners to ensure alignment on promoting economic growth and that mindfully balances the needs of businesses and neighborhoods while striving to preserve the legacy and history of the village. With the upcoming election for village trustees, we have 4 seats open. 3 of the 4 seats are contested, with the 4th seat having no candidate. The person with the most write-in votes for that seat will win. Exciting news. Flamingo Marine is moving to new space in Germantown off of Holy Hill Road in a development that is part of TID number 8. The company submitted materials to the village explaining that they were looking to establish a new manufacturing site. Flamingo Marine plans to start with a single shift and 50 workers with plans to add shifts as demand increases. Employment is projected to reach 113 by 2027. According to submitted documents, the company plans to produce 450 boats in 2026 and expand its space by 58,000 square feet in 2027 to produce more than 1,000 boats. Special thank you to the EDWC, the Economic Development Washington County, for their work in getting Flamingo Marine here. Also, with them going into this building, the developer will now be in a position to build a new building that will add increment to close out TID number 8 quicker. Truly a win-win for all. At this evening's GGF meeting, they had a presentation from the Washington County Emergency Government Manager on a proposal for the county to study the possibility of a county-wide emergency medical services system and consideration of a resolution indicating the Village of Germantown will support the study, which that passed. Our new financial advisors from Baird introduced themselves and presented a draft schedule for their work on 2026 debt issuance. Moving on to this evening's Village Board agenda. Our agenda includes some important matters that include individuals are seeking approval to operate a 6,000 square foot indoor baseball training and athletic development facility. I know when my kids were in softball, we had to drive all the way up to Hartford, so it's kind of nice having one in our backyard. Sears Property Group, the agent of Faith Lutheran Church, is seeking approval of a new 36 multifamily dwelling units on Division Road. This development provides high-quality, single-family style rental housing option that allows existing Germantown residents an opportunity to downsize, remain in Germantown, and free up housing stock for new families that desire to move into the community. This development is good for Germantown, has been vetted by the Plan Commission, and this development meets all the new tracking metrics that we included that include impact fees. This proposed development is expected to contribute approximately $300,000 in one-time much-needed impact fee revenue for the village. Tax revenue. This proposed development is expected to contribute approximately $44,000 in much-needed tax revenue for the village year over year. Additional tax revenue will also be going to the Germantown School District, Washington County, and MATC for a total of approximately $140,000 year over year. School district impact. The 36 proposed units for this development are not expected to impact the overall housing units / student enrollment projections noted in the Roffers report. Single family versus multifamily housing ratio. This metric was added to take the emotions out of adding housing in our community. If this development were to be approved and implemented, there would only be a 3 basis point change in the ratio going from 25.0 to 25.3 for multifamily. And finally, traffic. With the minor modifications proposed that the developer will pay for, the build traffic volumes in acceptable traffic operations or better for all movements. Approval of a contract with MSA to complete the master plan for the Holy Hill Gateway District Master Plan. Review of the Grafe PRA Moore Team's feasibility study analyzing the current police station site and old Quick Trip property as possible sites for the new police station and comparing these options to the old DPW site. Staff is asking for the board direction for begin moving forward with the design phase of one of these locations. And finally, we'll get an update on the planning of the 4th of July activities. I'm looking forward to our meeting this evening as we work all together to move Germantown forward and to make our community a better place to live, work, and play. Thank you. We are now on to announcements of forthcoming events of public interest, committee, and department reports. Trustee Kaminsky.
Public Works will meet in this room on Wednesday, February 4th at 5:30 p.m.
Trustee Rick Miller.
General Government and Finance will meet on February 16th, Monday, February 16th in this boardroom, 5:30 p.m.
Trustee Mike Cutts.
Public Safety will meet in this room on Monday, February 2nd at 6 p.m.
Would anybody else like to say anything? Trustee Jan Miller.
Economic Development Commission will meet in this room on February 10th at 6 p.m.
Thank you. We are now on to Citizen input. Would anybody like to come forward tonight and speak? You have 4 minutes. We could talk about the cold weather. We could talk about not doing stupid things that I did by keeping a sparkling water can in my pickup truck in 10 degrees weather and it blew up. So good evening and welcome.
Hello, Sarah Larson, Butternut Road. I want to comment on 2 items tonight. The first being item E and the silencers for the police department rifles. I think this is very important. Hopefully it's going to be an investment that the community will never need to use. As a firearm enthusiast, I know even shooting a rifle with ear protection on, it's still extremely loud. And if we're expecting our officers to be able to respond in a situation and adequately hear one another, I think it's a small price to pay for their safety. The other item is item F and the police department feasibility. Obviously, looking at our 5-year plan and all of the expenditures, we need to be really cautious about the money we spend. And so I would like to see us go with option 1 in using the current location, as well as I was looking through the materials on the first for the existing site, it referenced the communication towers, but then there were no costs allocated for the other 2 locations. And I'm assuming those would be added cost if we were to select something other than the current location. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to come forward and speak? Good evening and welcome.
Melanie Smythe, N140W17938 Cedar Lane. I have 2 areas to discuss tonight. One is the moving forward with the police department assessment. For that, I'm also for the existing location. It doesn't require purchasing real estate or significant utility work that somewhere else may. It's also centrally located. So I think that's a good option at this point. The second subject that I have is the MSA proposal for the Holy Hill Gateway master planning process. I printed out the proposal and I marked it up, and I'll give it to you, Mr. President, after I leave here. But my overarching comments here are we need to do things differently than were done during the 2050 plan. All the discussions and the decision-making should be transparent, and there should be actual participation early on. For instance, in here, it does not speak about plan commissioners being part of the guiding committee. Yet at Plan Commission, many of them have voiced their desire to be part of that as the guiding body that designs the process and also comes up with the questions. Don't just use them as note takers in work sessions. The reason why the 2050 plan in part was not completed was because there was resident outcry. And that's why this is 5 years late. And one of the reasons is that the people around were promised housing in the 2020 plan, and it turned out to be warehouses that popped up in the dead of night, apparently. Or at least that's what it felt like. And so there are trust issues. We've heard that the reason that, oh no, we couldn't do housing over there was because of the rock. But we've had several developments, including one tonight, where there are no basements. So I don't think that that's a valid reason anymore. It could have been housing that just, because of the real estate cycle, that's what ended up there. And the decisions were made in secret, let's face it. Okay, so the last thing I'll say about the process here on the proposed timeline, I think you should have up front, besides the plan commissioners as part of the guiding team, some interviews with people in Woodside and Isabel Farms. Those are the people who are most affected by this, and they were the most aggrieved because they felt betrayed by the previous process. And it wouldn't take it wouldn't change the overall schedule. You do have a lot of meetings here in the summer. Summer is not a good time. People are busy, they go away, kids have things to do. I would suggest that you rethink some of the meeting times in this. And let me see if there's anything else. No, I think that's it. There's many more comments that I wrote in here. If you have any questions or can't read my writing, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to come forward and speak? Do we have anyone on WebEx that'd like to speak? Okay, great. Moving on to the consent agenda. There's a lot on the agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oh, roll call. Remind me.
Not roll call.
Go ahead.
No, I saw you. I was waiting
for
you.
Oh, I was waiting for you.
No,
Oh,
said wait because I saw you.
Oh, I wanted to pull the item G as in George, just to get the value as well as FG.
okay. So now we've got a second. We have further discussion.
Mr. President, just because I had a whisper in my ear and I saw a couple of puzzled looks, recall that we just passed a new ordinance related to the consent agenda at the last meeting. That ordinance still allows you to pull items from the consent agenda for the purposes of voting on them separately. The difference, or what changed, is that process now does not require a secondary vote when you get to that item. So with one item being pulled this evening, there will be one vote on the motion to approve Trustee Peeper's motion. That will be for everything other than the item that's pulled. And then when you go to take the item that has been pulled, the default will be the Trustee Peeper's motion still applies there. And then you can do with it as you want. You could amend the motion, you could, do anything you want, or you could just vote separately at that point.
Thank you. Further discussion. We have a motion, we have a second, and we've pulled G.
Yep.
Saying none, we're gonna have a roll call because there's monies involved.
Trustee Warren,
Aye.
Trustee Cutts,
Aye.
Trustee Baum,
Aye.
Trustee Jan Miller,
Aye.
Trustee Borst,
Aye.
Trustee Pieper,
Aye.
Trustee Rick Miller,
Aye.
Trustee Kaminsky, and President Soderberg.
Aye, that motion carries. We're now on to item G, purchase of the 2026 Parks pickup truck. Trustee Jan Miller.
Yes. Matt, could you inform us what the actual cost is?
Sure. Good evening. So with the Parks pickup truck, the total that we're asking to be authorized for is the $64,783.90. That is covering the cost of the truck purchase from Ewald, the liftgate installation, and then the plow package. So that comes in under the budget of $72,000.
Thank you.
Further discussion.
Make a motion. No.
No, we don't have to make the motion.
No, you don't, because it's all covered.
Okay, we're gonna, another roll
Thank
call.
you.
Trustee Warren, Trustee Cutts,
Aye.
Trustee Baum,
Aye.
Trustee Jan Miller,
Aye.
Trustee Borst,
Aye.
Trustee Pieper,
Aye.
Trustee Rick Miller,
Aye.
Trustee Kaminsky, and President Soderberg.
Aye, that motion carries. We're now on to new business. Item
Mr.
A.
President?
Oh.
I'd like to make a motion to move item F to after item C as in Charlie.
I'll second.
We have discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries.
I'd like to make another motion and put item C first, since I think the majority of the crowd is here for that.
Item what?
C.
Item C. Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? No discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. We're now on item C, Cirrus Property Group LLC, agent for Faith Lutheran Church, property owner. Rezoning application to create the Carolyn at Germantown, and hope I pronounced that right, planned development district and rezone 5.4 acres from the institutional zoning district into the Carolyn at Germantown PDD, and a certified survey map for a 5.4 acre residential development comprised of 36 multifamily dwelling units located at W172 and 11187 Division Road. Gordon.
In the Lannon-Mequon Road
In the
corridor.
Lannon-Mequon Road
Yes,
corridor.
read it all, sorry.
Thank you.
I make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Do we have discussion? Trustee Baum.
Yeah, I think this is the worst thing that has ever come before this board. There are so many things wrong with this on a planning perspective from my background.
Bless you.
First off, I understand this is a $9.4 million project. Bring your calculators out. $9.4 million divided by 36 homes. It's $261,000 a home. This is next gen housing.
Microphone.
This is next gen housing. This is not luxury homes. This is incompatible with everything around it. The units, one-story units, so tightly packed together. You look at the area in an aerial map. There is nothing like this in the area. This is spot zoning at its finest, that you are forcing a different typology into an area that it does not belong. This does deserve the density, but not in this format. This is too compact. It is too tight. It is the worst thing that can go here. And when people tell me that these are so desirable that they have a 3% vacancy rate, our whole village has a 3% vacancy rate right now. There are no places for people to live. I cannot support this. I have been speaking against this from day one. And I've been trying to get people to understand this is the wrong product for this village. It does not belong here. We don't have anything like it and should not be voted for.
Trustee Pieper.
I made a motion to approve this because the community supports it. I have not had one citizen email me or call me that is not in favor of this. In fact, I've had the opposite. I've had so many emails, so many phone calls of people in support of this that obviously I'm going to support it. Do I think it could be better? Yes. You guys know this. I've had dialogue with you. Do I think it should be higher density and fit in more with the Fairway and Knowles? Yes. I'm approving the zoning change, but I think it could be tweaked. And honestly, I would recommend that you work with Trustee Baum and see exactly what his ideas are for there, and maybe it can be a little fine-tuned. I think you guys are respectful. I see that the church has loved working with you. The church is very supportive in our community, therefore I support this.
Trustee Rick Miller.
Yeah, I'd actually like to hear Jordan's presentation. Although we made a motion, I would still like to hear it.
Sure. I was actually going to ask if you wanted a presentation. I know the applicant's here as well that has some comments, probably speaking to some of the questions, but I'll try to breeze through as most of it or a lot of it was covered already. So as you're all aware, this is a planned development district rezoning request from Cirrus Property Group for the Faith Lutheran Church property shown on screen here. Currently it's zoned institutional. Another aerial image here across Division Road. So again, Faith Lutheran Church site, 10.4 acre site. The 2050 plan designates the site as the Lannon-Mequon Road corridor, which does list multifamily uses as allowable within that corridor. This case does have a history of concept proposals over the last year or so in front of Plan Commission, and now it's at Village Board. Here's the location showing the property within the Lannon-Mequon Road corridor. And just some overarching highlights, 36 dwelling units on 5.4 acres for 6.7 dwelling unit per acre overall density. It is a for lease or for rent community, as you're aware, comprised of 3 family dwellings and 4 family dwellings, also known as triplexes and quadplexes. And I can let the applicant give you a rundown on those product types. There are 2 public access points to Division Road, one southern driveway, one northern driveway, with one being a right in, right out on the northern part. General development plan on screen showing the 11 buildings, the associated retention ponds or site retention ponds with the U-shaped driveway serving the site, which is proposed as a private drive as well. With that, the applicant has proposed each unit to have a private front entrance and an enclosed yard. Public utilities will serve the site. Within the packet and the resolution before you tonight, you did see that there were 3 modification requests to the RM2 district setbacks, as noted in the packet. And then as far as density, the underlying zoning district would be the RM2 district, which allows up to 8 units per acre, this being 6.7, so under that maximum allowance. This does come with a survey map, of course, to split off the 5.4 acre development site from Faith Lutheran Church as shown on screen here. Along with that, the existing parsonage would be removed if this project were to move forward and be developed. Architecture, you saw in the packet, the housing elevations, 3 option packages. I'll let the applicant talk on those a bit more. And then also some preliminary fence and sign design details that were also included as attachment in the packet. 3D development images also included showing the private drive here. Just to recap again, allowable use, multifamily residential within the Lanham-Mequon Road corridor, acceptable up to 10 dwelling units per acre. It is consistent with the 2050 plan, and to note the resolution before you tonight, there is a rezoning ordinance and a resolution with conditions listed out, much like you saw a few months ago with the Sutton Farm proposal, which was a planned development district as well. Ultimate approvals, provided, let's say that this is granted approval, there is a site planning process and building plans required for formal and final site grading and landscaping. Village president hit on these points, so I'll just run through them or show you on screen the single family versus multifamily housing ratio, property tax revenue, and these were also included in the packet. Impact fees, and then also the minimum impact on the neighborhood 47 within the County Line Elementary attendance area. A couple main takeaways from Plan Commission and getting to Village Board here. One of staff's recommendations and what was discussed at Plan Commission was buffering and landscaping of the site. Staff recognized that the spacing was tight around the perimeter and recommended at least a 10-foot minimum swath of landscaping to buffer the site to the west and the north. Through discussion and ultimate recommendation from the Plan Commission, they modified that condition to allow for a mutually acceptable alternative at the site plan approval stage for that landscaping. And another point of conversation was pedestrian connectivity. Sidewalk, staff recommended a sidewalk to be implemented and constructed on the west side of Division Road, fronting the church parcel, the entire 10.4 acre area. So the church parcel and this prospective development site to connect the site up to Mequon Road, and of course the culvers that and other developments that will be forthcoming in the coming months and years, presumably. With that, the direction from Plan Commission was to provide a cost estimate on that sidewalk construction for Village Board to consider if a financial contribution would be a better alternative in terms of a condition or requirement to impose in case the village would construct the sidewalk instead of the developer at site implementation time. So we can get into that discussion, and I'm sure the developer can comment on that as well. So to round off here, a couple memos, review memos from the village surveyor and village engineer were included in the packet, along with the memo on the cost of the sidewalk estimate at $26,000. So PC recommendations were to approve the 2-lot certified survey map subject to the 2 conditions noted in the packet, and also approve the PDD rezoning and the resolution that we have drafted tonight before you. So with that, I can take some questions and also turn it over to the applicant to provide some comment.
Questions for Jordan?
Trustee Jen Miller.
Jordan, I noticed that there were changes to the setbacks. Can you point those out on the map?
Yes, so the applicant actually is under the Plan Development District. You are allowed to request reductions or modifications to underlying zoning district standards. So for this being the RM2 district, the applicant is requesting a reduction in front, side, and rear setback requirements. Have the distances noted if you want me to name them off, but they're asking for a reduction in the front setback, side setback, and rear setback.
Per each unit or the perimeter?
It's just an overall reduction for the perimeter.
Okay. So the fence has to be within that perimeter?
So the setback reductions are for the principal structures or the buildings that you see on screen here.
Okay. And then these fenced-in backyard things, it's a 4-foot aluminum fence. And how big is that?
So I can let the applicant talk about it a bit more, but on screen here, Trustee Miller, you can see the drawing with the fence enclosures around each of the units. It was proposed as a 4-foot solid vinyl privacy fence.
Okay.
Staff's recommendation was to have that as an open picket style to allow for better aesthetic and drainage going forward. The applicant has since agreed to that. So ultimately, if approved tonight under what's in front of you, it would be an open style landscape picket fence at 4 feet tall.
Trustee Warren.
So I have a question for Trustee Baum. So I respect your opinions in this area. This is your expertise. And maybe you could help me understand what would be a more appropriate cost per unit that we should see here. And now at the 261,000, what are we going to be missing? Is it material? Is it the look? What are we compromising here at that lower cost?
You are compromising, number one, you're compromising integrity with the neighborhood. Your units are too close together. There's nothing, can you go back to the site plan? There is nothing in this area that has houses that close together. What causes problems in residential communities and throughout industrial development or real estate development is when you don't have things that match, they don't work well together. And if you want it, most of these residents that I've talked to are concerned about these things turning into negative developments. This has a higher probability of doing that because it is dissimilar to anything around it. Doesn't match anything. Therefore, it will have problems to begin with, and it will just foster through time. So what you've done in here is, it was brought up by somebody else. There's no basements in these buildings. I've talked to the applicants. I said, and what I see is that garages get filled with stuff. Garages are not used for cars anymore. Garages are used for stuff, and you are going to have 2 cars outside. They promote, we got four parking spaces per unit. I'm saying, no, you got a storage building and 2 spaces outside. You look at that layout, look at a driveway on there, look at the space between 2 driveways. You can't park a car on the road anywhere. You've got 3 extra stalls, 6 extra stalls for 36 people, 36 housing units. How many people did you have over for Christmas? How many people do you have over for Easter? 36 people. There's no place for anybody to park. I saw pictures of empty garages. That's not the way these work. They don't work that way. Take a look at the backyard, take the second building in on the top row, the green building. Look at that backyard, that fenced in area, and look at the driveway. Driveway is bigger than the yard, but this is what they're promoting is the yard. It is not a quality product. Now you want to talk about the units themselves. They're bare of anything that I saw. They are drywall and vinyl flooring. They have kitchen cabinets, nothing spectacular. There's nothing luxury about these buildings. What price range would you want this to be in to be at a luxury market? $350 a square foot times 1,200. What's that? What's the math on that? 350 times 1,200 square feet is $420,000. That is, once you put the lot on top of that price, you're looking at a high $400,000 house. That is what we have heard our residents screaming about for how long have we been talking about next gen housing? A couple of years now? 475 is the top end of entry level. And I'm telling you, this is coming in at, should be coming in at that. You should look at the housing around you directly to the north on the other side of Mequon Road. You should look at the housing directly to the east across Division. And you should look at what those are. They're multi-story. They are multiple units in a building. They are spread apart. There is room. There is space. That is what our residents are looking for. This close to the central business district, those little things do not belong there. A higher density belongs there because you want to start promoting the businesses. To get the businesses, we need the rooftops. These are the wrong rooftops. I'm not opposed to the number. 8 units per acre, I'm fine with that. I can even go higher than that. But the format, the product that is chosen here is the problem. I'm not opposed with you redeveloping this land. I'm all for developing this land. This is just the wrong product for this village, for this market.
Jordan, can you put an aerial up of that area where we could see the surrounding properties?
This is probably the best one I'll have for you tonight.
So you have got the gables at 3 stories tall. That's upper left-hand corner. Lower right-hand corner, you have the Presbyterian home, 3 stories tall, high density. You have got multifamily attached quads, higher quality, south on Division or north on Division Road. You go farther into that area, you are getting multifamily. This is the wrong product. There's nothing in that photo that looks at all like what is being proposed. That is improper zoning. You don't put something that doesn't match the surrounding area infuse it into an area. It's going to cause problems. It is going to fail one way or another. They may have it rented all the time, but it's not. It's going to work there.
Mr. President, can we ask the applicant if they want to come up and address anything?
Any further questions for Jordan? Okay, applicant, come on forward.
Did you want your slides to refer to?
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to present and answer questions. My name is Daniel Osbani. I'm with Sears Property Group. There's a lot that I could address that Trustee Baum just stated. There are a lot of inaccuracies actually about our development that he was just talking about. The cost per unit is not $260,000. It's significantly higher than that. There are our construction costs alone on top of all the additional soft costs, impact fees, developer costs. They are well above that. So I'm not exactly sure where that number came from. If it was in our report, that was a typo. I don't think it was, but
It was the estimated improvement value that we got for the taxes.
Okay, yeah, so that's calculated based off construction costs, and then that actually number is increased as a result. The property tax assumption is also increased. So the construction cost is significantly higher than that, and as developers, we try to do as much as we can to build a high quality product with as low as cost as possible, because this is a business and the construction costs continue to increase. So I think comparing this as a function of construction costs is a little bit of an invalid way to analyze the property. So on top of the product itself, the intent of the architecture is to match what we're trying to do with the development itself. And so what we're providing here is a high quality housing alternative that has the look and feel of a single family or condominium community. That's why they are primarily single story, or you have some 2-story mixed in there as well to help with the articulation of the development. You have private attached garage, private driveways, enclosed backyards, which through all of the research that we've seen, there are national consulting companies that research multifamily developments. They look at general open space that's not private versus private space that's fenced in. And renters don't attribute a lot of value to just general open space. They want their own private space where they can let their dog run out. They have grandkids. They want them to hang out in the yard. Every yard is anywhere from 600 to 850 square feet. It's not as large as a single family home on a half-acre lot, obviously, but it is meant to appeal to those renters that are looking to downsize from that home, but still have that single family style living. And then on the flip side, young families that may not be able to afford a home in today's market. Maybe they can afford the mortgage, but they're having difficulty come up with the down payment. This allows them an opportunity to enter the community, have that single family style living as they're saving up, and then will upgrade to a single family home. On the flip side, as President Soderberg mentioned as well, as you provide Germantown residents with an alternative housing option, someplace where they can downsize, you are freeing up housing stock as well within the community. And that would allow younger families as well that are looking to move in an opportunity to do so. And so the intent of the architecture, as I mentioned, it's primarily single story because we feel like we'll be attracting primarily empty nesters and retirees. All of the primary living suites are on the first floor so that it's easily accessible. That then is reflected in the architecture with this being primarily a single story product. I wanted to note that there was the Tracy Cross study that we've referenced. I know that they talked about the need for housing within the village of Germantown. On the first page of that document, I'll read the quote here. Strong consideration should be given to the introduction of a ranch, single-story villa rental program targeting the active adult age 55 through 74, but not restricted to this segment, since other profiles will find this product desirable. Our intent of the development is to address that need within the village of Germantown. This doesn't match anything nearby because it doesn't exist. It's not available in the village of Germantown. This will be the first development that is providing this type of housing. If you go to a different product, like a garden style development or a podium 3-4 stories tall, you actually get efficiencies on the construction. This is why I'm saying looking at it from a construction standpoint is a little difficult from a cost standpoint. When you have units that are stacked on top of each other, you actually are seeing efficiencies. It's the same slab and you have multiple units stacked on top. So from a price per unit standpoint, it's actually cheaper to build that product than what we're building. So we are a high quality development. That's our intent. The interior finishes are high quality interior finishes that are meant to attract those that are coming from a single family home and looking to downsize. We need to provide them with a high quality option. Otherwise, they're going to look somewhere else. The building materials that we're proposing are fiber cement siding and masonry. The allowed building material that we can go with is vinyl. We've actually upgraded that, which adds significant cost to the development as well. That just is an example of showing how we're not trying to cut corners here. We're trying to build something that's high quality that will last for a significant time and bring, I think, the type of renters that are looking for housing in Germantown. As Trustee Pieper mentioned as well, we've been working with staff and the church over the last year over this process. It's not something that it's not a proposal that we've thrown together last minute and are trying to just get approved. We've been trying to meet with as many people as we can to try to hear feedback and accommodate those requests. We have a lot of church members here that are in support of the development, a lot of Village of Germantown residents that are in support. And I think the density is also reflective of the product. If you go to a 3-story product, you're going to have more units stacked on top of each other. Your density is going to be closer to 12, 14, 16 units an acre. We have a lot of experience building that product. That's not what this is. That's not what would be permitted under the comprehensive plan, under the zoning district. And so this actually does meet the intent of the planning and the comprehensive plan. As also noted, this is land that's not currently on the tax roll. We would be placing it on the tax roll and then adding the $140,000 estimate actually has now increased given we actually just received updated pricing on the construction costs this week. And it's significantly higher than we were assuming it would be. That's just a function of costs continuing to rise. So as a result, the estimated property taxes will actually be higher. And then the impact fees that we'll be contributing all play into the overall cost of the development as well. So we do want this to be a very palatable development, high quality development that we think will appeal well to the village of Germantown, the demographics that you currently have here and that are looking for this type of housing. We appreciate Trustee Baum's questions. We actually did meet with him along with our architect who has lots of experience building multifamily developments, tried to have a dialogue with him on that as well. So we are doing the outreach. We do want to hear the feedback. We appreciate it. But again, it is reflective of the product that we are trying to propose here.
Great. Any questions for the applicant? Trustee Cutts.
I do agree with you that we don't have anything like that, and that's why it is different. I do think it is the right spot for it because there's already multifamily around it. So I think keeping it there is appropriate. I do support this. I do have questions for Jordan regarding the sidewalk. One of the conditional uses or CUP items was the developer putting in the sidewalk, but it's also recommended maybe we just take the cash. So we would have to decide on that with the motion.
Yeah, the way it's written right now is that the developer would construct the sidewalk during site plan implementation, so development of the site. The discussion at Plan Commission was with the impending Division Road reconstruction is if Village Board would consider a financial contribution being imposed on the developer to the village to construct that sidewalk potentially during a Division Road reconstruction process. It's a matter of timing though, but to answer your question, the condition as written right now is for the developer to construct the sidewalk during site plan implementation.
Okay, and then just a question for Matt related to the sidewalk. Where does this fall in? Is the church and then the developer will be responsible for snow removal?
It's a little too early to tell on snow removal. We haven't adopted a snow removal map, so it's premature. I would say the version of the map that was proposed, it would be something that's, we'd have to discuss and ultimately bring to the board. But it is nearby, kind of the corridor, the square mile of sidewalk that the village does maintain currently. So it might lend itself to the village doing that. I can't predict which way the board will decide on that though.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions for the applicant? Trustee Chad Miller.
Can you explain how large these little backyard enclosures are?
Yeah, they're anywhere from about 600 to about 850 square feet, depending on the home.
So what kind of a size, like if it
So
was,
it's anywhere from about a little under 40 feet wide, and then the width would be there's a 5-foot deep and covered back patio, and then from there there's another 15 to 20 to potentially 25 feet in depth of the yard by about almost 40 feet wide.
and how are you going to maintain that?
So, yeah, it's a great question. So every single, sorry about that, I'll go here. Every single yard in between the homes, the fences will have gates. And so our landscapers will be able to go through and mow every single yard. It's a kind of an inefficient layout. It's actually an added operational cost that we are bearing as the developer because we believe in the product. We believe in the the intent of what we're building. And so it's important for us to have those enclosed yards for the residents. So it's added cost to take care of that landscaping. So our landscapers will come in on their mowers through every single yard and take care of that. They'll also handle the overall landscaping of the development, the snow removal internally through the private drives, the driveways, the sidewalks. All of that will be handled by our operations team.
And is that road a public or private road?
That is, the internal drive is private.
So you have to do all the,
We will deal with all of the snow removal, correct?
so is that a narrow road compared to the division road? Yeah, it is. It's like,
Division Road is, our
like
internal
two
drives
lane.
are 24 feet wide and then a little bit larger when you add the curb and gutter.
so back to Jordan, the impact fees are a one-time fee, period. And then,
Correct. The impact fees, yes,
yes, and then the taxes are annual.
annual.
But is that the taxes for just Germantown or?
Well, as you heard the applicant say that the estimated amount to Germantown may have gone up, but the point is the last price point we had was right around 44,000 to the village of Germantown annually with a total amount of 130,000-ish across jurisdictions.
Right, okay. I wanted to clarify that. And
wasn't there going to be, and then I wanted to know, in the packet, I don't know if it was talked about in a different name. Is there a developers agreement?
Not yet. That would be forthcoming.
I don't know why that is. That kind of makes me crazy, but that's me. And then finally, the wonderful people of Faith
have put a lot of faith in you. So what is the win for Faith Lutheran?
So Faith Lutheran Church, some of the history of the church is that they've been looking for a good partner to develop the excess land that they have. What that does from them, just from the sale of the property, is then it frees up some funds or provides funds for them to use for improvements of the facilities, continued maintenance. I know they are dealing with a recent issue that caused some damage at the church that they're looking to fix, and that's one area that for them it's looking for a good partner is key for them. I think the other really cool opportunity for the church here, as we've heard through discussions with them, is that having residents right nearby their church as they have events and programs happening is a huge win for them in their ministry. And so they view that as a great opportunity, a great fit with the church to have residents as neighbors, 36 new homes coming to their neighborhood. Hopefully will go to the church and be a part of the events that they're happening. So they feel like it's a great cohesive fit for them.
I'll just say that I sit on the plan commission and you've been a very good partner.
We've listened and we're to the point right now where you're presenting this to us. I think this is a great new thing for the village. In addition, not only for the impact fees, tax revenue and so forth, I wish my wife would let me downsize my house to move into something like this. But she says, nope, you move, I'll stay here. And why we want 5 bedrooms with just 2 people and a dog, I have no idea. From what I see on the aerial, from what's around there,
We've got banks, we got commercial, we got office space, we've got the village hall, we've got a golf course across the street, soon to be a Culver's on the corner. So there's nothing like this in the area. So I think it's very attractive. So I'm in favor of this. Further questions for the applicant? Trustee Kaminsky.
Not questions so much as I think my comment is, it does look squeezed in to me. Those backyards would be what, an average of 30 by 20. And I'm hearing 2 conflicting things here. I'm hearing that you want to attract something for young families and a place for them to move up into Germantown, where yet we're keeping all on one side of our conversation is this is senior housing.
Now, this were senior housing and it was marketed as 55 plus or something, I could probably go for it. Because you start squeezing families into these, those picket fences would be lying on the ground in no time. They'll all be crooked. And I do agree with trustee Baum that the garage will become the storage shed for a family. Maybe not for seniors, but for a family, absolutely. There will be cars in the driveways, trucks in the driveway all the time.
And I would rather see something 2, 3 story in here. I really would. So I'm hesitant to support it.
Trustee Kaminsky, I just wanted to just to address that comment. So our primary renter demographic, these are the renters that we believe will be make up the majority of the community. We believe it will be empty nesters or retirees. This is not a senior community, though we're not limiting it to 55 plus. So we think that outside of those renters, who will be the other most likely renters?
We think it's probably young families that can't afford a home in Germantown right now because housing costs continue to increase. Maybe they can, again, come up with the mortgage, but maybe they can't come up with the down payment. So this is almost a transitional opportunity for them to enter the community. They might have grown up here. They might want to have their kids grow up here and be part of these schools. And so this gives them that single family style living. Those renters aren't likely to go to a traditional garden style apartment unit. It's just a different style of living. So we believe that that's the kind of secondary renter that we're targeting. That's again supported by the Tracy Cross study. They believe that this is great for active adults, but that it shouldn't be restricted to that segment because there are other profiles that will find this product attractive. And so that's just the intent of what we're trying to build. But we do believe that primarily this will be filled up with empty nesters or retirees.
Further questions for the applicant? Trustee Jan Miller.
And what was the rental rate?
Yeah, so the target rental rate is anywhere from $2,700 on the low end up to about $3,400 per month. The 2-bedroom units are anywhere from 1,250 square feet up to about 1,450 square feet. And then the 3-bedroom units are actually over 1,850 square feet. So they're larger floor plans meant to accommodate that style of living, significantly larger than a traditional multifamily development.
Further questions? Okay, thank you. We do have a motion. It was seconded, but I want to go back to Trustee Pieper. Was your motion for both the certified survey map and planned development district, or do you want to combine both? I didn't. Maybe you could read back what the motion was. If not, we'll just
I
have.
just made a motion to approve, but that is a good question. Honestly, I would like to approve the zoning change for this. I think the design could use some tweaking, but I would like for the zoning to be changed.
Okay, so that's your original motion. We have a second. Further discussion on the.
You have to ask the second because I didn't state that when I made my original motion.
Okay with that? Okay. Further discussion on approval of the proposed 2-lot certified survey map for the Faith Lutheran Church property located at W172 and 1187 Division Road. Subject to 2 conditions. Further discussion.
Mr. President, this is a PDD rezoning, and the significance of that is that there is a general development plan that's approved as part of this, which would include things like the design, the general layout, that kind of stuff. And so if you're looking to not approve that because you think it needs some more work, really you don't want to approve that this evening to do that. A complicating factor is that this is also a CSM approval. By statute, we only have a certain period of time within which to act on a CSM unless the applicants would otherwise grant an extension in writing. And so we could certainly split them, but my, I guess, recommendation would be that you know, if there is some thought that we would table or refer the design back to Plan Commission in some way, if that's the desire, that you take action on the CSM itself, whether it's to approve it or to deny it, but to take some action on it so there's some finality, unless the developer is open to agreeing to extend that timeline to just keep everything together. So
we're on certified survey map.
question.
Okay, further discussion on that.
What is the motion then?
Well, I'm saying I'll split the question.
The motion is to,
Between the PDD and the CSM. First one would be the CSM.
correct. And we have a motion, and we have a second, and we're on discussion on the CSM. Further discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Do you raise your hands, please? Three opposed. That motion carries. We're now on to the second staff recommendation is to approve creating a planned development district based on the underlying RM2 multifamily zoning district to be known as the Carolyn at Germantown PDD for the 5.4 acre property and rezoning said 5.4 acres from the I institutional district into the Carolyn at Germantown PDD, subject to 3 conditions. Entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the PDD as written.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Do we have discussion? I just want to say that again, this was, I want to thank the applicant for being here. I want to thank staff for working with the applicant. And also I want to thank my colleagues on the Plan Commission. We have had numerous presentations with the applicant on this, and it went through the Plan Commission to the full board now. So I have no problem with approving this as is. So further discussion. Trustee Baum.
It may have gone through the process, but it was a blunder. It's the wrong product for this location.
Okay, further discussion. Trustee Borst.
Yep. Coming into this, I wasn't quite sure which way I was, if I was going to support it or not, but after seeing the presentation and thinking of my own personal experience, I actually appreciate the format. When I was younger, 10 years ago, first got married, we started out in something very similar to this in a condo, and like it was great for that time, and we were one of the younger people there. It attracted mostly older, but we're downsizing, but we were there as well. And I think that this format, although it's unique and different, I think that it could be a value add.
Yeah, I do know when I talked to my financial planner, I asked a stupid question. When do you know when you need to get out of your 3-story house? And he said, when you can't climb the stairs anymore. So this is one level. And again, I think this is the right thing for Germantown at the right time. Further discussion. See none? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Please raise your hands. 3 opposed. That motion carries. Thank you and congratulations. We're now on to item F, Police Department Building Feasibility Assessment and Next Steps.
All right, Mr. President and the board, we do have a presentation. I might see if the village attorney would be able to pull that up, and I'll ask the police chief and the public works director to come up. The police chief is going to start us out with the presentation on the findings from the Grafe PRA Moore feasibility analysis that was completed.
I know.
Good evening, Chief. Good evening. Floor is yours. Yeah, Trustee Warren asked that item F be behind C. Trustee Pieper.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of rifle suppressors for 25 rifles.
We're not on there.
Oh,
We're on
you
F.
said we were going to F.
Right. The feasibility study for the police
Oh,
department.
sorry, I'm sorry. E and F are
worries.
right there.
No
Okay.
worries. Chief.
Thank you.
You must be disappointed that the Bears lost. I know that's the why.
Definitely not. I was actually very happy.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time tonight. Doing a little research on as far as the building that we're in and our needs that we're going to need in the future. Back in 1982, the police department and library were built on the site that it's currently at. That's 43 and a half years ago, and the population at that time was 11,000 people. 32 square miles, 18 officers, 9 civilian, a chief, 4 sergeants, 2 detectives, 11 patrolmen, 1 secretary, and they had 4 full-time dispatchers and 4 part-time dispatchers. Moving to 2026, we currently have 42 sworn officers and 7 civilian employees. Officers making up 1 chief, 2 captains, 3 lieutenants, 6 sergeants, 3 detectives, 2 SROs, 1 community policing officer, a drug investigator, and 23 patrol officers. The civilian staff, 1 executive assistant, which is a secretary, 1 property custodian, 1 system specialist, 2 support specialists, 1 clerk, and 2 records clerks. Just giving you those numbers, I mean, we've almost doubled in size since 1982 when the building was built for the staff that it was currently for. Specialty positions that we have now that they didn't have in 1982, evidence technicians, drone operators, multiple certified training instructors, which do training every month, DARE officers, SROs, CPOs, drug investigators, violent crimes task force officer, canines, 2 dual purpose dogs, and 1 therapy dog. We have a motor vehicle carrier inspector, public records clerk, and a property custodian. We've outgrown our current facility by locker rooms. We don't have enough locker rooms for the staff that we currently have. Office space, we have sergeants sharing desks in the office. Work areas, we have people all over the station. We just found rooms to put them in to give them offices. The training area is the old library. We put some pads in there, but we have to set up pads, mats every time we do DAT training. We have a conference room where we have meetings in. We also are in 2 separate buildings, obviously, since the old library was in one. That creates a problem for cohesiveness and basically for the patrol staff to meet with the detective bureau. You're more likely to talk with somebody when you're in the same building than to walk across outside into another building to talk to them. New PD talks, when they started, I've been here for 25 years. And they talked about it when I started already. At that time, we had just moved in to the old library, and what we're doing in there is just using it from some training rooms at that time. In 2008, they talked about a new police department. Some of you may have been on the board at the time, or combining the 2 buildings. There was no money at the time, so that's why they did not do the combined building or build a new police department at that time. In 2020, talks began again due to the space needs, added officers. Unfortunately, COVID happened and the talks kind of dissipated. Talks resumed in 2023 with retired Chief Snow. Due to the expanded command staff structure, added officers expected. We added 4 officers in 2024. Another 4 officers in 2025 through the referendum. The restructuring that took place, we now have 2 captains, 3 lieutenants, 6 sergeants, and an additional detective to find room for. Staffing in 2023 was 34 sworn, 1 administrative secretary, a clerk, property custodian, 8 dispatchers. Due to the consolidation that was occurring at that time, in 2024, we received 4 officers, which moved us up to 38 sworn, a secretary, clerk, property custodian, then it went down to 6 dispatchers trying to do 24/7 coverage. In 2025, after the referendum, we were approved for 42 sworn, a secretary, clerk, property custodian, records clerk, and 5 dispatchers. Now in 2026, we have the same staffing, but we didn't increase our space for these people to do their work in. Some of the problems, we're looking for a one building purpose built for the police department, not to try to remodel. We have HVAC problems. We have one office that's hot and the other office that's cold. We have baseboard heating to supplement the HVAC system right now. Ability to maintain operational efficiency during construction, that's another concern that we have. We want to be able to have people come into the lobby, be able to do our work on a daily basis, and have officers respond to calls. We're looking for room for the future growth of the department for the next 20 years at least, along with the growing community. Additional equipment needs for the fleet, technical equipment, investigative equipment, organizational layout. We're looking for one building for the staff. Staff officers grouped together, detectives all in one area with their supervisors, lieutenants and sergeants supervising patrol in one area instead of on different ends of the building. Enough workstations for everybody so we don't have to share desks. Storage locations for equipment. We have drones that are in the basement now, so the officer has to run downstairs to grab the drones before they go out on patrol, and then upstairs into the squad garage. A training facility where we don't have to set up mats all the time to do our training. And location is the last one. Turn over to Matt now.
All right, and then I'm just going to run through this one-page analysis. So this was the kind of summary of the product from the Grafe, Moore, and PRA effort over the last couple weeks. So in the column on the left, you're looking at information related to the existing police department site. The column in the middle is related to the former Quick Trip site. And then the column on the right is the Public Works, the old Public Works site. And all we're going to do is just kind of flip through this and talk about kind of, you know, what the differences are between these three sites. If I can, hopefully this works. Oh, was it working?
It was, yeah.
That is 1.9 million, that's how much they're asking for that property? Is that confirmed? Sorry, my mic's not on. Is that confirmed that the Quick Trip building is $1.9 million asking price? And that they're not gonna demo the existing building?
So there's actually two parcels that are for sale,
I'm aware they're combined.
and the
across-
total is $1.9 million that they're asking. I believe they've already demoed the canopy for the gas stations and the car wash, but the other building, they are planning to leave up.
Okay.
All right, so I'll just continue on here and we'll talk about the differences between the three sites. When it comes to the owner of the sites, the difference between these three is that two are currently village-owned, obviously the existing police and former DPW sites. The Quick Trip site is currently owned by Quick Trip. And then we highlighted that estimated acquisition cost. Do note that that doesn't include any acquisition costs related to the parcel to the east that's currently floodplain and potentially wetland. And we'll talk about that more in a minute. So moving on, just down to the approximate total cost line. I think the thing that you want to take away here is that all three of these sites are fairly comparable in terms of cost. There are some differences and there are some things that are not in some of these that we'll talk about a little later in the presentation. But as it sits for this summary, there's about a $1.9 million spread between the former DPW site being the most expensive and then the Mequon Road site being the least expensive, roughly in that $28.9 to $30 million range. The floor orientation of the buildings is largely similar. It's going to be a two-level facility regardless of where it sits. The only difference there is at the Quick Trip location, it'll be 2 levels above ground. Trustee Pieper?
Cost to bring water and sewer out to the DPW.
It's approximately $2 million.
I didn't see that in the calculation of total, approximate total cost.
Says includes utility extent.
Yeah, but why? I would like to see how those numbers add up.
It is in the report. I believe it's itemized in the, was the report a packet?
The report's in the packet. I can find that page in just a minute here. Well,
and I can continue on, but that is approximately the cost, and that's roughly the difference between the sites in terms of total cost. Then just continuing on with the comparison zoning, the 2 sites that we currently own have the institutional zoning. The Quick Trip site has the B1 and B5. So there will be some work that's needed with the zoning if that site is selected. Moving on to utilities, that's where we have that approximately 2,250 foot extension that would be needed for water and sewer going out to the old DPW location. There are power, water, sewer available at the other 2 sites.
if I can just interject real quickly to answer Trustee Pieper's question. The budget for the DPW site is on page 671 of the packet. And the building costs there are $26,058,000. And the site improvements, including the sewer and water extension, are, I'm sorry, the other site improvements are $2.3 million. And the sewer and water extension is $2.3 million for that total of $30,660,000.
You said the other improvements were 2 million.
All of these options do include, various site improvements to get the sites ready for the
Yeah,
actual build.
I understand that, yeah. But I also know that the current DPW, that floods every single year. Half the Little League games and baseball games can't even happen because it floods. But that's a low risk, but yes, yet Quick Trip has never once flooded. But it's a high risk. Who put this together?
Well, I can explain some of that. When we're talking about, and I was just about to get into it actually with the wetlands and the bedrock being some issues that were identified in the analysis. But stormwater is another one, since you brought it up. All 3 of the locations would need some amount of work related to stormwater retention on site. The DPW site is sitting up higher than the Little League field, so those are much lower in elevation. There's a pretty like a steep drop off there. But regardless, we'd have to hold and manage the stormwater that fell on the DPW site with a retention pond on the site. That would
So
eventually,
the Little League fields are gone.
what's that?
The Little League fields would be gone because they'd either be flooded or needed for a retention pond.
No, the retention pond would be on the DPW, the old DPW parcel. Top of the hill, yep.
There's not enough room.
Yeah, there's a site plan in the packet that shows an appropriately sized stormwater pond for that site. So wetlands, my clickers are getting ahead here. But when we're looking at the Quick Trip site, there is the 100-year floodplain, which is very close to the parcel boundary on the east. And then there's likely wetland in there, and that would have to be delineated. So that's a bit of a risk when it comes to the construction costs, especially because we'd probably have to take some of that property in order to build the building or the road. When it comes to the other 2 locations, kind of the risk and the construction cost there is the depth of the bedrock. We do know that at the Mequon Road location, from borings that were done at the time the library basement was constructed, that the bedrock is fairly shallow there. So there is money factored into the estimate for some amount of bedrock excavation. If that ends up being substantially different than what was figured, then the number could go up. And then that same issue potentially exists at the DPW building or DPW site. Yes, sir.
If you are potentially encountering bedrock, why is a 2-story, 1-level underground being proposed? Why don't we just raise both of them up? 1 story on the grade, 1 up.
For which location?
DPW or anything that's got bedrock to it.
Well, the DPW site, it would actually, the elevation works out where there'd be like a main level and a lower level, and both would be accessible at grade. When it's the Mequon Road location, the reason that we're going under, using a lower level there, that's more of a true basement or lower level where parking would be accessed underground.
So you, at the, still, whether I park at grade in a lower level or park above, why am I trying to dig into bedrock? I don't understand in either of these scenarios. Why don't you just raise the buildings up?
I can add a little bit here, and Chief Merton may want to jump in as well, but I think for operational reasons, the lower floor, whether it's at ground level or below ground level, is used for parking, for the shooting range, for those types of activities. And I think the purpose of putting those underground on the old police station site is so that when residents, citizens are coming in, that then we don't have to provide stairs. There's fewer needs for elevators, that kind of thing. So I think it's mostly so that to keep the primary entrance to the building on the ground level.
Okay. Please proceed.
All right, so that is the bedrock issue. And then I just wanted to point out towards the bottom of the page, just some of the other notes that are associated with each of these sites. And these have all been talked about at various points over the last year or so. But at the Mequon Road current police facility, we obviously have those would stay. If we were to build at Quick Trip or the DPW, the towers would also stay at that Mequon Road location. There's obviously the complexity of police department operations continuing during construction. And I think that after I'm done with my kind of a walkthrough on the site evaluations here, the chief and the village administrator will have more comments on that. And then there's an issue of getting them access to Division Road more directly. And the estimate that was provided above does not contain any costs associated with that. So essentially what that would amount to is kind of a driveway through the village parcels out to Division Road. So they didn't have to always go southbound on Western. And that was something that had been discussed through this process.
Sorry.
That's okay. I just didn't want to talk on a turn, so. If I could ask just a couple questions, maybe I missed something in an earlier meeting. So we really can fit a new police station in the footprint of the old station? There's really enough room there.
What I would say is that the construction is feasible. I think what you'll hear from the chief later is there's some constraints that he's concerned about.
To me, it just sounds really difficult, but that's just an outsider looking in. And now we're talking about trying to reach Division Road through the parking lot of the village,
Correct.
past the library with little kids running around outside. That is not feasible. If we did the Quick Trip site, we'd tear down the existing store? Is that built in, the destruction and carrying away all that?
There are demolition costs in here. yes.
That's all in there. Okay. And I guess my other thought is if we did use the existing DPW site, the old one, and we have to take the utility through, well, that's going to benefit us in the future in that area. I would think for future development, those little ranch homes and that, I mean, that's all going to change in 10 years, that whole area, I would think. But anyway, those are my comments. I cannot visualize shoehorning a new police station where the old one is, and we still have to keep working. And then we're going to be taking emergency vehicles out past the library through the parking lot of Village Hall here to get to Division Road. I mean, none of that makes sense. And and then there'll be a new development right there too, with all the headlights going right into it. I don't, it doesn't make sense.
Trustee Peeper.
Yeah, so I'm looking through all of the numbers right now. So it says tank removal. Why would we be paying for the tank removal? I thought Quick Trip was responsible for removing the tanks.
Quick Trip did remove the
So then why is that in there?
that may have been just an oversight on,
And the building demo is only $100,000. And earthwork? What is earthwork for $250,000?
It's just the grading that's necessary to prepare the site.
And I don't see all of these costs added on to the DPW spreadsheet.
The DPW spreadsheet is carrying forward an analysis that was done like about a year ago.
It doesn't have these numbers of curb and gutter and asphalt and sidewalk and sanitary and stuff, but that's all added to the other ones.
those are all in the totals for the DPW site. That detail was presented to the board.
Why is it
previously.
line itemed for the Quick Trip location, but it's not for the DPW site?
Because if you recall, and the reason that we're here with this information tonight is that several months ago, we did provide an update of numbers for the DPW site, and we did talk about some other options as well. The direction from the board was to do the same type of analysis that we did for the DPW site, for the Quick Trip site, and for the old police station. So that's why you see more detail. The focus of the detailed analysis that was done here was on the Quick Trip site and the police station. The DPW site was added in just for comparison purposes.
So I am vehemently opposed to having the police station go at the DPW. Germantown Little League and the Junior Warhawks should be able to have that DPW land, put it on the tax rolls and have a sports complex there. The fact that we're even proposing to have the police station so far north when all the calls that we're responding to are south, I don't know why we keep pushing this.
Well, why don't we let's let staff finish their presentation, then we'll open up for questions for staff.
Yeah, I've got just two little points to make on the site evaluations, and then I know there's an additional slide or two for chief and the village administrator to talk about. We also have the consultant team here as well that could answer any very specific questions about the evaluation. So just the last kind of couple notes as it pertains to the Quick Trip site. Again, that's the middle column. I'm down on the critical notes at the bottom of the document. And it's basically really wrapping our heads around the floodplain and wetland issues and understanding those. So if we were to proceed with that site, that's some additional investigation that we would have to do. And then we've already talked about it quite a bit at this point, but obviously the big difference with the DPW location and kind of a critical note for everybody to understand is that we have to do that utility extension to the site, and that is significant work.
Questions? Trustee Warren.
So Matt, you talk about Commerce Circle to become public roadway.
Yes.
Is that road currently built to village standards?
No.
Would that have to be reconstructed? And is that a cost that was included?
It was included, and the cost included goes up to I guess it'd be like the southern end of the parcel. So at least that portion of Commerce Circle would have to be reconstructed. There's portions as you go around to the south that just simply could not meet village standards based on the space available. So it would probably, start out on the north end of the loop as public right of way and a public road, and then transition at some point back to a private road.
And those costs are in here somewhere.
Correct.
Do we plow that road now?
We don't,
So that would be an additional cost.
a little bit, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I just went on the county website for tax. If we would go down to go with a Quick Trip site, we'd lose about $32,000 year over year in tax revenue. So
I'm sorry, repeat that?
about $32,000 year over year tax revenue on the Quick Trip sites. That would, because we would be technically taking that.
Regain that from the old police station then, because that
We
would
don't
be.
know what we're gonna do. We don't know what we're gonna do. Just like to your point on the old DPW site, I mean, I would say if we went with Quick Trip, which I'm not proposing, or the current site, we could have a discussion. Now is not the time for that, of course, but we're gonna do a DPW. Because I would want to get that on the tax. roll
Sports
as soon as
complex,
possible.
the Little League wants to, they want it.
I understand, but now's not the time. I'm a firm believer in,
But now is the time, if we're going to be discussing putting the police station there, right now is in fact the time. If the Germantown Little League and the Junior Warhawks want to put a sports complex there, right now is the time.
I don't think, has staff had any conversations with that entity on doing anything development in our community?
This has been mentioned and you can't look at me dumbfounded because I know you know about it.
I do not know about it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Further questions for staff? Trustee Jen Miller, I think you raised your hand.
Yes. For the old DPW area, we all know that there's going to be a traffic circle there, Division and 145.
Correct.
Is that going to cut into any of the property on the DPW?
It will, but not a significant amount to affect the use of that site.
Way up here.
Oh,
It's not coming down into this.
okay.
Right, and I think the presentation will continue here. I'll pass the controls over to Steve.
Just the one slide here was a different way of looking at the financial impacts of the decision before you hear this evening. This is what the average annual cost would be for a typical home in Germantown, a $450,000 home. And it ranges from $229.33 for the lowest cost alternative, the existing police department site, and to the to $244.80 for the old DPW site. So about $15.47 per year difference for the from the highest to the lowest cost. And then next, this is some information based on a meeting that Chief Martin and Public Works Director and I had earlier today, just trying to lay out the recommendation from all this. And let me kind of preface this by saying a couple of things. First of all, we recognize that the board has a difficult decision before you, and it's a big decision. It has some large dollar impacts and some large impacts for the community for decades to come. We also would say, I think all of us would concur, any one of these three sites can work, and regardless of which site the board picks, staff will work to make that work, make that happen. I think the highest priority of staff is that we move forward with an option and hopefully come out of here tonight with some direction on which one of these sites you'd like us to start pursuing. So having said all that, much of our recommendations are based on the premise that there is a difference, and I don't want to call $1.5 million insignificant. And we did not take into consideration alternative uses for any of the sites, so that's a consideration that we did not take a look at. But we looked at relatively close cost between the three options, and much of this depends upon the police chief's opinion on what works best operationally over the long run for the police department. So the size and the geometry of the DPW site offers some advantages to the police department over a long period of time. If you think about that site, there's a slope going basically from north to south. And the way, if you look at the site layout that was included, that allows sort of a walkout basement, if you will. That's the way that I think about it. So it allows for ground level access at both the first floor and the second floor, which is going to be more efficient for operations over a long period of time. The larger amount of acreage on the DPW site allows for improved staff and citizen traffic flow. One of the chief's concerns regarding the existing police department site is the flow of traffic. So the site plan that's included in the packet, if you take a look at that, has staff entering basically a sally port that's close to Western Avenue, while citizens coming in to visit the police station have to basically drive around the site and then enter on the west side of the building, which creates some traffic flow issues. In addition, there is this question about where's the optimal place for squad cars patrol cars to come and go. We don't receive, I won't say it's hundreds or even scores of complaints from residents, but we do receive complaints from residents who live to the south of the current police building that when squads are responding to calls that they are going down Western Avenue and then through residential areas where there's kids playing, bicycle riders, pedestrians, et cetera. It's not an overwhelming concern. It's something that could be worked through, but something that's worth mentioning. The alternative to that would be somewhat awkward, I think we'd all acknowledge, but building a dedicated police drive across the back of the Village Hall property to Division Road. That cost is not included in the totals that we're presenting. In addition, as we were talking this morning, one of the other issues that the chief expressed is just from a long-term perspective, the DPW site is larger. There's more room for outdoor storage and growth in the future should that become necessary. Another example I mentioned, the driving, another concern that has come up, and the building design would certainly try to include noise dampening for the shooting range. But I know that there are other police departments with indoor shooting ranges that do get complaints from neighborhoods that the sound does carry, and it would be in a residential neighborhood. Next, from a staff's perspective, DPW has fewer unknowns. The staff, DPW staff oversaw the demolition of the old buildings there. We have more knowledge about that site and what the challenges might be. We believe there's less risk or less range with the conceptual estimates for the DPW site than there are for other sites. And this is, I guess, a question for the village board or something to consider, if whether or not the higher initial cost of the building at DPW site, as opposed to the existing police department site, is outweighed by the long-term operational benefits that I think Chief Martin would say that the DPW site would have. In addition, the DPW site, since it's not being built on the existing site, it would avoid staging costs and construction inconvenience for the public. Those are things, if that's the direction of the board, the police department will work through it. They will deal with it and they'll move on. But there would be some challenges related to that. And then finally, and kind of along Trustee Kaminsky's route, if sewer and water is extended, number one, it could lead to some additions to the tax base as properties up in that area develop. And one of the options that we could explore to help offset the cost of the sewer and water extensions would be to set up some deferred special assessments on the existing property, so that if and when property owners who would have access to sewer and water as a result of this sold their property for development, they would pay a special assessment to the village to cover a portion of those costs. So there are some ways potentially, if the board chooses, to try to offset some of those sewer and water extension expenses. So, and I guess Chief Martin, if there's anything you'd like to add to that, it's where we choose is going to be your home for a while.
You said it great. I initially was a opponent of putting it on the current site until we got the drawings of that and just the feasibility and operational layout of it, it did not work. I don't like squad cars coming in off of Western Avenue. Us in law enforcement, we don't like being in the public eye when we're entering the building or entering garages. We want to be around the backside, and that I don't think was possible because we have the entrance around the backside. Just the size of the lot, we don't have any outside storage built in to the PD site with the new construction. DPW site is much larger where we have the option to put those outside buildings for an outside evidence garage or outside impound for vehicles that are leaking any fluids. So my personal opinion is to go with the DPW site due to the size of it, just the operational layout. The building structure, I believe, for the PD site was like 3,000 square feet less than what we had figured for DPW, and our layout there was the amount of rooms and that we would have needed for the future also.
All right. Before we entertain a motion, may I suggest that we just go around roundtable and find out what you're supporting, and then based on the numbers, we do a motion. But I just want to kick it off and tee it up that when I was on the school board, we did almost $100 million construction at all 6 schools at the same time. The fire department is going through a $6.2 million construction at the existing Fire Station 2, renovation and expansion. They will still be operational. So I've got no concern that our police department, the professionals that they are, will continue to operate as they always operate if the board selects the current site. I'm looking at the site plan right now. It appears that there's a lot of space available for an outlot building that we could put something else there for outdoor evidence storage, that type of thing. Referencing and this was a very good sales pitch on the DPW side. I do appreciate that. But referencing the sirens and so forth, we have fire and EMS going down Mequon Road all the time with lights and sirens going. So I'm not at all concerned about the noise and the impact that has on the neighborhoods. I would, to Trustee Pieper's point, I would, and I don't know anything about that site, by the way. If I don't, okay. If there's a developer that wants to go in there with something that'll get that land back on the tax rolls, I would welcome that. So that's just my conversation. So I'm going to start with Trustee Warren.
Question for the chief. The DPW site gives us all the acreage that we need, but aren't we too far northwest of the core of the village where your response times are affected now?
Actually, the division in Freistadt is kind of the center of the village. We can shoot down Freistadt Road to Maple or River Lane to get out to those areas. Most of the time, the officers on the road, yes, we have to be located because the officers do have to come back to the stations to do paperwork and book people. But just based off of the size of that and then the layout and the terrain of that property, I believe it's more feasible basically for that parking garage underground and have it partially exposed and then have the civilian entrance coming off of 145 onto that main level.
So my opinion on each of these sites is, okay, so if you're not concerned about that, I'm not either. The additional cost for the utilities, I remember I asked our administrator several meetings ago if putting in those additional utilities could spur additional development, and the answer back then was no in that area. So that's still a quandary on that, because I could see that, okay, that would make sense. You know, we get more bang for the buck by putting those utilities in. So that's, if we could do that, that would be a bonus for that site. We don't have to talk about that now. As far as Quick Trip, it just seems too small for me to try to make that work. And as far as, I don't see how we could rebuild the existing police station site and have you and your officers maintain the day-to-day services. It just seems too convoluted to do that. So each one has its negatives in my mind and there's positives for each. So I'm not going to pick one right now, but sorry.
Rats.
Yeah. So my opinions.
Thank you.
Yep.
Trustee Cutts?
My first choice would be to rebuild on the existing site just because people know where it is. You're driving by, it's right in the middle of town. After listening, I can see your points about the DPW site, so I could vote for that one if that's what the majority thinks is gonna be the best. But I don't think Quick Trip's a good spot.
Great. Trustee Baum?
Sure, I'm wholeheartedly behind the DPW site. My biggest concerns are expandability for future development. This community's gonna grow. We're gonna have to expand this building. The current site, neither of the other two sites allow for expansion. And the feasibility is there. The cost that we have to pay $2 million for water and sewer, that doesn't bother me when you look at the overall. It's either 29 million or 30 million for all three scenarios. Everything about the DPW says that's the right place to go. If you wanted to do the existing police station, somebody had talked about, let's take the police station and put it in one of the empty retail stores and just get you guys out of there completely. That's more trouble than it's worth. It's going to cost you way more to relocate everything over there than it is to do what's being proposed at the DPW. I'll support DPW.
Thank you. Trustee Chad Miller?
Hello. Well, I had a conversation with Chief a little while ago, and it was all about staying on the proposed site. I think the proposed site, or the current site, I should say, is a good location. Everybody knows where it is. I think that instead of it be, I don't know, I can't tell from your plans, maybe I haven't scrolled far enough on the proposed site, but these architects, builders, they do magic. This is not their first rodeo moving from one location and building on the same site. It is not impossible. They do it all the time. And that is exactly what would happen when the library does their expansion. They're in it, they'll be there, and they have to work around. So that's just one of those things. And I believe that it should be a 3-story building. Look at the library next door. It's 3 stories. You could fit cars underneath, do it in the back, then you got your main entrance, all your blah, blah, blah. And then on the 3rd story or the 2nd story, you could have all of your meeting rooms, some, offices and stuff like that. I don't see a problem. And I think that doing a road or pseudo road, I think that would be feasible because they looked at it before. And you've been using the Western Avenue for a long, long time. If there is the opportunity for expansion at the DPW site, no one has taken advantage of it. And I'm tired of trying to be sold on the DPW old site because it's just, I think it's far away. If you say, and I don't know how that traffic circle is going to help you. I don't know. If you want to go one direction, you might have to go out and do the circle before you get in the right direction. So I don't want to spend extra money, even if you think it's $15. And I also think that doing an exercise with our new financial advisory company should be included in this. Because how can we, maximize and keep the taxes lower. I think that the residents would really appreciate that.
So you're leaning towards the existing site.
The existing site.
Okay, great. Trustee Borst.
Yep, so I have a question to start. There's a lot of information here, but I feel like none of this came to public safety first to kind of hash out some of the details. Am I missing something? Nope.
This was directed by the village board, so it came back to the village board.
Got it. Okay.
Specific to for the KT site. So
Okay. All right. So I feel like the current location is going to be the best location. I think everyone knows where it is. I think it's the village. It's at the heart of the village. It's the village center district. But I do feel like it's a high cost, and we have Baird coming in soon to assess things and to look at financial planning and taxes and all those things. And I think that this should at least wait until we get some of their input.
great. Trustee Pieper.
Respectfully, Chief, I disagree with you about the response times. They are going to dramatically increase with you being up that high, seen as your heat map that was given to public safety showed that the majority of all the calls that the police station receives is responding south near county line. So your funding could possibly be jeopardized with grants and whatnot, because if your response times drop, that is a huge concern. I already said it with the DPW, Junior Warhawks, the Little League want to put a sports complex there. We should let them do it. I am for the Quick Trip site or the current location. I think that what was presented to the village board here was extremely biased. The numbers don't add up. They're really pushing for the DPW. And honestly, if I had more time, I would go through it with a highlighter and I would nitpick every single error that I have read here tonight, because there is so many.
Thank you, Trustee Rick Miller.
So I'm looking at these three sites. The first one I would have picked too is the existing site. Looking at the layouts, how you can squeeze it in there. Yes, it can be done. Sure, it can be done. But I'm not sure that's the best, because you're in close proximity to residential, and a lot of residential. And some say that's a positive. I would say that's a negative. The Quick Trip site, I have two concerns. One is reconstructing a private road to make this work. And two is taking a high-profile commercial property off the tax rolls. That just doesn't make sense to me. I don't think that makes sense at all. The DPW site, yeah, I said it's going to go here. I think this is the place to put it. It is the geographical center of the village. Yes, it's not where the heat map is, of course, because all the population is south of Freistadt Road. However, you have patrol cars, right? I mean, that's what it does. The fire department is in the industrial park, and they have to respond. The one that comes to mind is Cedarburg. Cedarburg's police department, aren't they out on Wauwatosa Road? Not even close to the center. And they make it work. This site makes a lot of sense because of the size of it, because of the potential for growth. The water and sewer, yes, you could have some potential. I think if you look at where the line is and where it has to come, there isn't a whole lot of land there to develop along that newly run line. But if you have the potential to move it north across 145 and north up Division Road, then you've got something there. So there could be some possibility for growth later on. That I don't think is a factor right now, but I still think that the DPW site, and I always did, was the best location.
Thank you. Trustee Kaminsky.
Well, I agree with Trustee Miller. This, going back even 3-4 years when we first began to talk about this, the DPW site made the most sense when we moved to reconstruct our DPW department site. I'll go back to my laughter at trying to shoehorn ourselves into where you are now, where you don't have enough space. And then to create a road, like right back here, is this the back of the building? It'd be a road going out there with police vehicles on it, where all the people for the library patrons park, where all the village people park. There's no room for a doggone road. And if we put one in, at what expense? That's not in the budget. And two, how safe would that be? I mean, that makes virtually no sense to me at all, makes no sense to shoehorn you back into where you are when you know that this village is going to continue to grow. We need room for expansion. The DPW site looked good to me 3 years ago and looks even better to me now, assuming that's also your favorite. I think that that choice has to be definitely weighted by what you believe you need for your people to protect this village moving forward 20 years from now. It's not just, oh, I want baseball here, or, oh, I don't know if I think we should spend an extra $1 million. I think we have to do the right thing right now for the next 20 years. And to me, it is the DPW site. And it's hands down, it works.
All right, I got a question. I'm looking at the site plan for the existing location. I don't see any road in here. I just see a cutout for the parking lot to connect to the parking lot of the library, and you could always go down for your vehicles. And I see 1, 2, 3, or is that the existing parking?
There is no driveway going out the back.
The footprint.
So yeah, if you're looking at the diagram here, in essence, the construction plan would be to remove the police annex building, the old library, and then construct the new police building basically over the footprint of that. And the kind of the L shape that you can see here near Western Avenue would be the Sally Port. So the entrance for the police staff would be at the first driveway on the top, going down into a basement garage. And then for the Sally Port use, the next driveway would be there, and police staff parking would be in the parking lot, the smaller parking lot closer to Western Avenue. Citizen access would be the driveway furthest to the south on Western Avenue, and they would drive around the rest of the site with parking on the east end of the site, and then entering the building on the west side of the site, and then entering the building on the southwest corner of the building.
Thank you. And across the street from there, we have the Freighter Medical Center, and then kitty corner of that, we've got the strip mall with retail, dental, professionals, et cetera.
Correct.
Any thoughts relative to if we went to a location that doesn't include the existing location, what would we do with the existing location? Are there costs built into the overall plan on raising those buildings so that we could possibly put it up for sale and put retail commercial on that corner? Because that's a class A corner right there.
That's not
And therefore that we get back on the tax rolls with some development.
That's not something that we've looked into at this point. I would say the biggest impediment, at least for the next 12 years, is the lease that we have for the cell tower. That's kind of in the middle of that site, and that lease goes through 2038. But I do agree with you that the value of this location is higher than the value of, for example, the DPW location, because of the traffic, and there is the potential for some development there at some point in the future, but that wasn't factored into this analysis.
Okay, well, I know I'm not going to play cards with Mr. Warren because he didn't show his cards. We've got 3 for DBW, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, including myself for the existing. However,
Can I revote?
you haven't voted yet. What's your vote?
I vote for DPW.
Okay. So I'm I'm very sensitive to the needs of our chief and I want to support as much as possible. I'm very sensitive to spending additional dollars for water sewage to get up there. However, I'm also sensitive to long-term growth expansion for the department because we are a growing community. And what I just said is not an epiphany, but if we raise those buildings, we could put the corner on for sale for commercial. And I think that would be a tremendous opportunity for the village to put something on that corner there. Not unlike what we want to do where Blackstone, we've got culverts going in there, but we could put something else in that corner and that could go into the whole Mequon corridor thing. Trustee Miller.
Yeah, the problem with this speak about, oh, this would be a great place for this and great place for expansion. We're holding many properties right now. The Flower Source, Gross Neck, we've had it for years. We haven't done anything. And if you, I don't like that kind of speak. Oh, we could do that. It's pie in the sky right now. We don't have a plan. We need a village center plan. And the question on the table is not what the empty lot could be, but what is the most economical way and the best location for the police department. And I'm not sold on DPW.
Okay.
That's
I
all I'm
think it's
saying.
important to have vision like that. Nothing happens without vision, nothing. And you wait a few more years and you see what's going to happen to that Gross Neck property when that whole park and everything begins to develop. You got to have some vision. And I appreciate what you said about that corner. And I totally think that these men, biggest part of our budget, who protect us, who are going to expand in the future, I think I kind of like to go with what they want too. And they agree DPW would be the one for them. Why would I take that away from them? When I think that we can, that water and sewer going through there, as Trustee Miller said, depending upon how we do that, you know what's around that area? Very little ranch homes and things that someday they'll probably be turned into something else. And that someday is probably not even a decade away. So I mean, yes, I think that water and sewer up there is going to make a difference too. But at this point, you look at the staff recommendation for DPW, I can't argue with it. I think it makes total sense.
Well,
Can I
Trustee
make
Cutts?
opinion.
The more I listen, the more I think I would lean towards the DPW, mostly to do with future growth, because I don't want the village to have to be addressing in 5 years again or whatever that the newly built PD doesn't accommodate the growth and there's nowhere to go. There is that option with the DPW, and since that is more what the police staff thinks would better suit them, then I would lean more that way than the current.
All right. Well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the DPW. 1, 2, 3 on existing. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve exploration or completing the study on the DPW site.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Trustee Miller, yes.
Before we go exploring the DPW, can this be reviewed by our new financial advisor?
Yeah, well, Baird's going to be reviewing everything in terms of all the financials so when it comes back, we'll have full clarity in terms of the financial impact. So.
Yeah, I want to make sure.
Yeah.
That's why I brought it up.
Okay. Further discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 3 opposed. That motion carries. We are now on to where are we? Item A, rescheduling of the April 6th Village Board meeting to accommodate April 7th election preparations. Administrator Krecklow.
Thank you. This is a request from the village clerk's office to either reschedule or cancel, and the board has taken both approaches in previous years. The April 6th village board meeting, which is the day before the April 7th election. And obviously this room is set up. It's a big part of election operations that begin very early on Tuesday morning. So there's a request to do that. Looking at the calendar, the request from the clerk's office with, consideration, and again, as always, we will, whatever the direction of the board, will make it work, would be to, if you are going to move the meeting, to move it to the following week. There are a number of other election-related activities that are very time-consuming over the course of Wednesday and Thursday following the election as well. So that's the request from the clerk's office.
I make a motion to move the meeting to the next week.
13th?
Yes.
Yep, April 13th.
The 13th, though, there's a plan commission meeting on Monday, the 13th.
We could move that up, plan commission, so, or we could have a light agenda. I'm not worried about that. Maybe I'm not, maybe I am.
At this point, I don't think we know what's on the plan commission for the April. I don't think we have enough information at this point to know how long that would be. And some of those are driven by, as the village attorney mentioned, some of those items tend to be driven by statutory requirements.
I'm sure we could accommodate, we could move the plan commission up by certain minutes and et cetera. We'll figure it out. So trustee Cutts?
Well, we didn't talk about public safety, but that's at 6 o'clock that night.
Oh, yeah, I apologize. That one slipped my mind. But typically the committee chair then will move that to whichever night the board is meeting.
Trustee Kaminsky?
Now that we have an extra Monday in March, we do the 40th.
Yeah, actually, I thought of that exact same thing. Great minds think alike. But when I checked with the clerk's office, this room will be set up for in-person absentee voting on the 30th.
That's right.
Yep,
That goes
yep,
on
I
forever.
had the same thought.
Why don't we skip it?
We usually do.
What about the,
Typically.
put it in
I
the
withdraw my
agenda?
motion and I make a new motion to skip that meeting.
Second.
Discussion.
It's a great idea.
Are you okay with only having one village board meeting that month?
We have done that in the past and we've made that work.
What about
Yeah.
moving it to the 27th?
Okay, there's a motion.
We normally don't have, that's first, the third, we skip that and do the last two.
13th and the 27th are plan commission, the 6th and the 20th.
You don't have a plan commission on the 27th.
They leave it open for it.
Well, they're getting kicked out.
Oh, we're just canceling the meeting.
You don't.
Further discussion,
Last month.
further discussion on canceling the meeting, the motion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
That motion carries.
All right, so quick question then, is public safety going to be canceled that night too?
My recommendation would be that no, that we do not cancel the Public Safety Committee meeting for the month.
Schedule?
I think that's easy, probably easier to reschedule. And maybe we could look at the 14th, 15th, or 16th and
That can be discussed at public safety next meeting.
Right, or you could hold it in a different location as well.
Mhm.
Okay. We are now on item B. Joydane Roush, Daniel Lannis, and Olivia Tetluck, agents for Hawk House Performance LLC, and Tetluck LLC, property owner, conditional use permit for an approximate 6,000 square foot indoor baseball training and athletic development facility located at N115 W191150 Edison Drive in Germantown Industrial Park.
I make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
We have discussion. Trustee Cutts.
I just have a question. One of the CUP conditions is that the business can't be sold. So why do we do that? Why wouldn't, like, if it's a successful business, why wouldn't they be able to sell it to someone else if they choose to get out?
Yeah, that's usually at the request of the plan commission. It's sort of a common condition that we've had in CUPs. Just a lot of times when a new operator or owner comes in, they might purchase it, not contact the village, or purchase it knowing there's a CUP, but we don't know that there's a new operator. All of a sudden they start being in non-compliance with the conditions potentially. So typically the format is to have a new owner operator go through the process to get a CUP issued for their legal entity or operation. Because in all honesty, if there's a new owner, the CUP that's approved and signed currently by this owner, let's say, will be essentially invalid to a future owner that hadn't signed it at the time.
So if they would find someone that just for my knowledge down the road would be interested in buying it, that person could come forward and then just try to get a CUP to continue running that business?
Correct, yeah, yeah.
All right, thank you.
It effectively accomplishes the two goals. One is to just vet the new owner with a conditional use. Oftentimes they're conditional because they have unique impacts to the surrounding neighbors and property uses. And so you do a conditional use to try to minimize those by putting conditions on it. It gives you then the ability to kind of vet the new owner to see whether or not they understand and are going to be reputable operators in the first place. And then the second thing that it does is that it just ensures that the new owner understands all of the conditions that they're operating under.
Further discussion. Is the applicant here?
I don't know. They weren't unfortunately at Plan Commission. I don't see anyone in the crowd. I'm not sure on WebEx if they're attending.
Okay, no worries. See none? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. We are now on to where are we? Item D, Community Development Department, Holy Hill Gateway District Master Plan. Consultant proposal, review, and recommendation. Jeff, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Holy Hill Gateway District Master Plan is intended to be a supplement to and further refinement of the 2050 plan, the land use plan for this particular area. The Holy Hill Gateway District Master Plan will be a guide to future development, including the type, amount, the location, the appearance of future land use and development, infrastructure improvements, and environmental resource protection. The process for developing it is intended to be approximately 9 months. The Plan Commission will provide oversight of the overall process and the select consultant as serving as the steering committee to the overall project. There were 5 consultants that submitted proposals, including MSA Professional Services, a team of Andewall Associates and R.A. Smith, a team of Grafe and Kevin Schmolt, a team of Chastain and Associates, the 1861 Group, and a Development Planning and Partners, and a team of a group called Confluence and Soma. At their meeting on January 12th, the Plan Commission considered the recommendations of the evaluation team comprised of village staff, the village administrator, the DPW director, the village engineer, community development director, our associate planner, Jordan, and made a recommendation to select MSA Professional Services. And the Plan Commission did, in fact, on January 12th, accept that recommendation and is recommending to the village board the selection of MSA Professional Services for the master plan project, and also asking the village board to authorize staff to negotiate the necessary agreement. Now, before the village board takes final action to do those 2 items, the village president asked that we invite MSA Professional Services to tonight's meeting to give a brief introduction to the company and to the project. And this evening we have Lori Miller-Facey, project lead and client contact for MSA Professional Services, and Steve Tremlett, a project manager with MSA Professional Services. They have a brief slide deck to go through. I'd ask you guys to come on forward and
Good evening and welcome.
Thank you for having us.
And I do have a cough drop if you want one.
Oh, thank you. I'm so sorry. I was trying not to interrupt and I just kept running out for water. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here this evening and We understand the village is considering us for this very important project, and we thank you for putting trust in us and having the Plan Commission recommend us. Our goal tonight is really not to walk through the proposal page by page. It's more to just give you a high-level overview of what our approach is, and at least in my opinion, most importantly, is how we're going to partner with village staff, with Plan Commission, with the board here tonight, as well as methods to manage scope and our costs throughout the process, and work with the public through this. Just want to make sure I'm not advancing too far. Economic opportunity due to its access and location along US 41, which is really reflected in that comprehensive plan that you've done just a few short years ago. At the same time, it sits next to established neighborhoods, which we really need to be mindful as we're moving forward through on this project. It makes it especially important that future development occurs in a much more predictable and well-planned way. The role of the master plan is to provide long-term clarity, guiding these investments while protecting compatibility and the community character. So I want to briefly talk about defining the success for this master plan. For us, this success is not just a polished document. It's a plan that the village can use. That means land use recommendations that align with the market reality of what's occurring today, and also the infrastructure capacity that's available to us. These aren't just aspirational. Excuse me, so sorry. It's not just aspirational concepts that are difficult to implement. It also means providing clear guidance so that future boards, Plan Commission members, and property owners and residents understand the direction for this area. And finally, it means an implementation strategy that helps move the plan off the shelf and into action, which is probably one of the most important things of all. So how are we going to deliver this plan? We have a very strategic approach to this to make sure that, nope, so sorry.
Excuse me for the interruption, but
Sure.
you talk closer to the mic. They can't hear you on the
Love
TV.
to. And I'm so sorry for the scratchy voice.
That's
I
all
was
right.
tired earlier, but I gotta say the cold weather is really getting to me today. Our approach is designed to surface issues early. We want to have flexibility in the process. So while you may see that scope, there are some very defined steps that we'd like to take, but there is flexibility in it, especially when it comes to the public engagement side, which I'll get to in just a moment. We want to have that flexibility to respond to things as they come about rather than later. And we want to make sure that this doesn't become costly or contentious. Because we're a multidisciplinary firm, planning recommendations are informed by engineering and then the market reality, just right from the get-go. You'll see many names on our proposal, but the key point is that I will be your project lead, so you'll probably be seeing my smiley face on a regular basis, along with my colleague, Olivia Bolton. And then, of course, we've got Steve here, who will be watching project management and also making sure that we have quality control. The structure is intentional and helps ensure accountability throughout the process. So let's get to public engagement. Again, I want to stress that this is a flexible approach. However, we have very conscientiously came up with an approach for this project. And that includes two different facets. One of them is really more public fronting. So that's including a couple of public workshops, a visioning workshop for the adjacent neighborhood, which we need to be very aware of the impacts along that front. We also have promotional materials. We have different types of engagement, whether it's online or in person. And then we have the flip side of it. We have a public engagement side that is focused on you and Plan Commission and keeping you engaged throughout that whole process so that you're not just on the back end and approving something or only on the front end driving the process without having any kind of feedback from the public. And I'd like to bring Steve up here to talk about the rest of the scope.
Yeah, so if you see the resume, I've actually been with MSA for 18 years. Done most of the urban design work, that's both public and private work. And so that is why I'll be the project manager, and the intent is that we have staff meetings prior to plan commission working sessions where I'll be involved in all of those, as well as any key point in milestones to make sure that the process is running smoothly, and working with staff that anything that comes up, pick up, that we can work to getting a successful plan. I noted that the neighboring uses are part of the thing between industrial uses and lower density residential. And some of the plans you saw in our portfolio also noted Fitchburg, where there was even a neighborhood and you're building businesses around that. And so that was very important to have that neighborhood focused meeting that we have intended prior to any concepts that come forward. So wanting to move forward, sorry. What will we cover? Obviously, is the background, right? What are the existing plans that are there? What are constraints to development? Where are there floodplain, wetlands, steep slopes? Look at the infrastructure that exists now. What would have to be extended to serve additional areas through here? And then talking about land use. So if you'll see in the scope, there's initial concepts, and there'll be two versions of that. The reason you do two is that it likely sometimes it becomes a morphing of the two to a preferred version, or it could be one of them that's modified. And so the point is, part of that engagement process is to get feedback when it's at those two concept level before we get to preferred. And then the preferred is still reviewed further as we get through engineering impacts. And because ultimately part of the implementation package is phasing, initial preliminary costs, and a future land use map. You'll see on the graphic here, the one image shows more road networks and more finer grain. And so that's like the concept level. But then when you create the final future land use map, it pulls back a little bit. What are the primary roads that we're looking to put through the neighborhood here? The finer grain that you're seeing is more giving you the idea of what is the typical block depths you're looking at, what kind of developments fit into that block depths. And so that gets to the policies. So there'll be policies in there on that concept level, but then you get to the future land uses more dedicating what are the preferred uses that kind of, is it reinforcing, reevaluating the comp plan's outcome? And so deliverables, what are they? Lori mentioned a big key piece is to have a story map. It's like a website, a little bit more interactive, where we provide materials, allow for feedback, and that'll be updated through the process so that people can see where you're at with it. And then noted promotional materials. It's hard to have meetings without having enough promotions. And so we'll provide content and suggestions on how you get people to interact with the engagement process. There'll be a market analysis, which is a context snapshot and market pulse check. We did include an optional, more detailed master market study, but that's not really necessary based on the RFP. So we provide an option to go a little bit further if you want to have a better background on what's being proposed, but our current base plan includes a market analysis that reinforces, are these usable developments that are potentially viable? The master plan also includes a separate design standards handbook. So we understood that there was desire for design standards that may be codified at some point, but we've included in the base price this user-friendly, you see one image of that, where you have certain elements and you provide both recommendations and standards with illustrations. It's very helpful for anyone to pick up, property owners, developers, and city staff, village staff, sorry. And a big key point of that is a checklist. At the end of it, you'll have a checklist to make sure that the applicants provide enough information on all the standards that are impacted, and it allows for you to review it to make recommendations on any development. And additional value adds are listed outside of the scope is event booths, which could be go where the people are, right? Do a little bit more one-on-one. And then an online mapping tool, which is a version of the map of the area that you could put comments to that are geographically located. And so just another avenue. Granted, they're not in the base price. They're just ways to do additional engagement if you prefer to go beyond what's in the base price. And so there is a detailed scope in there for the 9 months. I think there was a comment earlier today. Just want to kind of reinforce that the intention actually is to do a good of the first few months before summer of engagement that you'll see in there that's listed. There are obviously plan commission meetings that run through summer, but then the ultimate open house is actually in September. So through that process, you are getting some front end engagement within that back end of the open house that comes later. There's also a developer focus group suggested. This is something I've done in other plans that helps also reinforce the understanding of what you're being proposed and the concepts is viable option. So that's another reason why the detailed concept of detailed market analysis may not be warranted, but we provided that option. And that's really it. So I'll leave this up here, but I don't know if you have any questions for us.
2 points. Several of us have been through this many a times before. What is very critical is 2 things. The engagement of the people and having their ability to put Post-its on, to put notes on a plan, to mark up on a drawing. That was a given. We had to do that. The last one we brought through did not do that. They did everything virtual through your phone. That didn't go off well at all. 2, you cannot suggest anything to anybody. You have to listen to what they have and put what they have on the paper. So any preconceived ideas have to be thrown out the door, it sounds like. Another issue that got good feedback was the online thing. You've got it as an extra, but a map of the village, map of the area, so that people can go tag that because they can't get to this meeting, any of these meetings. And in your experience, how many people actually come to these meetings? 20,000 people in this community. Shall we expect 20,000 people here? Last ones we've done, maybe we had 100, 150 people over the course of everything giving input. What is your thoughts on that?
Sure. 2 points there. The first one is we didn't go into detail. We're short, but especially when it comes to the neighborhood focused meeting, the intention is a mini charrette where you're not coming with perceived ideas and you're working with in small table groups some ideas. We also could be having, I've done this in the last couple projects, is we have imagery of certain building types. And we say, all right, from this category, pick the top 3 that you think are acceptable. And we do that with all certain uses that they might not even be interested in, but just kind of get them to think about, like, if you were to accept it, are there any images we're providing you that would match? So that is the interactive activities for that. Agreed that we do usually have a map that you can put comments down, where you put a number on it and you put it on a form and you give comment. The online version is a good supplement where we can combine those answers from both, because you do get different demographics. I would agree that is a nice add. I think it's at 2,500. Don't quote me on that, but it's a smaller price, but it might be beneficial.
Right.
How many people do I expect
To participate in this
Yeah.
program?
So there are 2 input meetings, the neighborhood meeting, an open house, and a public hearing. And the reality is, generally, you're seeing people that are most impacted showing up primarily at those meetings, right? So I would agree, typically, you're gonna see, 30 to 50 people per those events, typically, unless something comes out of the initial that's available that people have a lot of concern about, then you'll get more. But the intention is to have enough of these touch points that we get it understood of the concerns before we get to the end point.
And the opinion of our people that are here on a regular basis is the entire village should be involved in this. It just doesn't happen. Can't get that through to them.
It's not, to bring that
You
proposal.
have to go to the-
Steve, go for it. Always jumping in on you. We do offer a pop-up event, which I gotta say, I've always found incredibly successful. If you haven't experienced a pop-up event before, it's normally a community event that's already occurring. So say it's a local fair, maybe a church gathering where you have a wide demographic of people we show up, set up a booth, whether we have maybe a mapping activity or something of that nature. It's a touch point that normally only lasts about 3 to 4 minutes, so it's not overly aggressive because most people do not like us surveying and all that good jazz. But it's just enough to get that feel and get them engaged in it. We also find those are really successful because those are the people that aren't normally on your city website, your village website. And then once they become interested in it, they do tend to show up to more of those events too. So I would encourage you to use that as an opportunity to expand the number of people that you're touching.
That's the booth that you refer to as an extra.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Further questions? Trustee Cutts.
So the neighborhood vision workshop, what exactly are you talking about? Because I live in Woodside, so, and my neighbors are not happy. I don't like all the industrial out by me either. And if we follow the 2050 plan, it's either that or multifamily or hotels and stuff along the freeway if the frontage road goes through.
Yeah, repeat again, but it basically is, we have maps that already show all environmental constraints, existing development, and we have small table where we could draw lines per conversation that we have with individual, and then we typically would have each table talk to the larger group that's there, and we go around each table. And then also include that part where you have graphics, images of building types, and you try to get them to provide their top 3 of each category that may come into the plan.
Right, so I was not on the board when the original 2050 plan came, but I came to the meetings and I'm in at the time it was the Rural Preservation District. It's not now because it's moved north. And everybody that was there from my area all said we didn't want more development north. And it didn't change anything with what went into the final 2050 plan. So a lot of my neighbors say, I don't even know if they're gonna come because they said, why? You don't listen. So I guess my question is, like, how open are these meetings, or is it just gonna be, here's 3 different building types for commercial buildings? What is your preference? Or are you seeing like what uses could be? I guess how open are you guys gonna be to what the residents are gonna talk to you about?
Yeah, I should clarify that it's usually a series of 8 to 12 images per building type. So
Okay.
I think it's through the initial conversation, we'll decide what those building type options may be. Like for instance, in the Fitchburg one, purely 125 single-family homes located around ag lands. It was a very interesting neighborhood plan to work through because there was portions that the city felt there could be business parks. So there was a lot of discussion on that. So we had single, like low density option, we had medium density option, and we had business park of different graphics, like again, 8 to 12 images, and try to find some of that fit. So obviously there's been some work done here of direction. You know, the parameters is working with staff and as initial point of what we go through, but I'm open ears to what we hear.
Right.
But I guess we're not the only voices, right? We're trying to hear what everyone has to say. What are the concerns with economic development, engineering costs? So there's factors on all sides that we have to weigh.
Right. I guess I'm just curious if you're coming forward with what's in the 2050 plan as desirable, which is multifamily, which is more commercial, or if you're open to like single family residential. You might not know that. I'm just asking.
I don't know, we come with preconceived notions. I mean, we may be hearing what our starting point is with staff or how we're hired to do the work. But I'm open to hear all the uses that of interest. But like I said, there's other factors that have to be considered with plan commission and then ultimately board to make a decision if it's an adoptable plan. I didn't know from the start, I'm gonna keep going back to Fitchburg because it was my hardest in my career of 18 years and it did get adopted. So there was a compromising that worked through the process to find the right balance of uses. I know I'm not answering your question because I don't come in with preconceived
Right.
thought on if it should be single family or not. I know what was in the RFP and what we responded to on that.
Thank you.
Further questions? Trustee Warren.
So what I noticed in almost all the proposals was the experience that was given was related to neighborhood plans or corridor studies, you know, urban developed area. And I look at this as more of a rural, kind of different from that. And the examples you give is Greenfield Neighborhood Plan, South Stoner Prairie Neighborhood Plan, and I don't know how relevant Anton Drive Development Plan. Do you think that's relevant to what you're looking at here? And what would the similarities be that brings the value to what we've got here?
Sure. So the Greenfield is that one that had 125 single-family homes surrounded by ag land that was right adjacent to an interstate that they even talked about, staff talked about an interchange, which would have changed the area significantly. So that one, I think, resonates with the balance of rural character surrounding a neighborhood that wanted some direction to include business park. And how do those blend together? What compatibility standards are needed to allow those uses? What buffering of the land uses are needed? So I felt that one actually is a very key one to consider. Anton Drive, that was more of a heavier business park next to a residential area that had some income restricted areas. So not exactly the match. But again, the whole point is compatibility between different uses is, I think, the key point of those matching in. South Stoner, yeah, that would actually is a quarry that the whole land changed to what they're going to be done with the quarry, and how does that get developed after that? So that one's less consistent, but showing that we've done a variety of neighborhood plans.
Thank you.
Yep.
Trustee Jen Miller.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. I'm going to cue this up. I've been on the board not as long as most people, but 5 years, and I was here for the 2050 plan. And the first attempt at this neighborhood meeting was more like your at the table and round tables, and people came together. We got to stick things on maps and stuff like that. But since that moment, 5 years ago, I'm going to say 2020, 2021, whatever it was, that was the only time, or one of the few times, that we did neighborhood meetings. And this community has been promised to have neighborhood meetings for any development that we do. And we have yet to do that. And there has been a lot of development to the areas that are critical are the Woodside and Isabel Farms that are close to the area. And there was a lot of backlash from those people about overdeveloping with commercial properties. And if you go up, drive through Holy Hill Road, you'll see a lot of warehouses, a lot. So this is, I'm just telling you, it has to be done right. And I think that this board and the Plan Commission should also understand that the 2050 plan is a live document and it can be changed, implemented. We have done nothing but the land use portion of the 2050 plan, so it's not complete. But if we have people that come in and say, let's do some single family or whatever it is, or keep it rural, we have to be open to that. That's my point. And it sounds like your Greenfield was kind of like in that rural area where they listened to the residents. Is that what the situation was?
I would say it's very interesting because also the area was decided on what growth areas would need to do a neighborhood plan. So very similar to this case of, it was determined in the comp plan, that area in Greenfield needed to be developed further. And that was done like 10 years prior to this. And, you know, if you talk to specifically every, you know, people that attended the meetings, they might think that we didn't compromise enough. It was trying to have a balance between discussions with staff, Plan Commission, council. It was a compromise. Honestly, it's not a win for anyone. It was finding a balance that made sense, that could allow for that compatibility with the neighborhood. I mean, there's some neighborhood people that thought no build should have been the option. But I was trying to explain that no build means don't do the plan. It doesn't provide you some landowner who owns may sell and they will have development. And a no build provides no guidance for plan commission and their council. And so we had to look at what can we find a good balance of seeing some development, but also recognizing how it impacts the neighborhood. So yes, there's still always going to be people that are not fully happy, but it was finding a right balance.
Further questions? Okay, thank you very much.
One comment.
Oh, Trustee Baum?
I think it is critical to inform residents that landowners have a right to develop their property. These people who come through and say, we don't want any development, don't build anything, is not an option because the landowners have rights. So I have a problem when people say no more building.
Further questions, discussion? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to move forward with a contract with MSA as presented.
Second.
We have discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Welcome to the team. We are now on to item E, purchase of rifle suppressors for 25 rifles. And I see Chief coming.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Do we have discussion?
This went through public safety. They did a demonstration with the suppressors. Without the suppressors, they did a phenomenal job. This is honestly a slam dunk for me. It's budgeted.
Great. Trustee Borst.
This did go through public safety. It went through 2-2 to in support to not in favor. And I was one of them that was not supportive of it. I felt like I asked a lot of questions at the public safety meeting. I did a lot of research and I still just can't support it. I'm not fully against the idea, but I feel like this is more of a want than a need for right now where we are. So in the future, I would reevaluate.
Yeah, well, as a proud owner of 2 suppressors legally, they are beneficial. All the things that we heard at public safety are accurate. And so I'm 100% in favor of this. Trustee Baum.
I was the other dissenting vote at the public safety meeting, and my attitude was, aside from the school shooting, I don't know, I couldn't get an answer as to how many shootings, how many times the police shot their guns.
Rifles.
Yeah, Trustee Pieper.
I can give some background on this. So the suppressors are literally for the officers to protect their hearing when they are being shot without hearing protection. All it takes is shooting one of those rifles one time to have an officer's hearing damaged. If there is a school shooting and they're running in the schools, they're not going to sit there and put on ear protection when they need to call out to each other and they need to hear kids that are calling out. The suppressor literally protects not only their hearing, but everyone else around them's hearing as well. He did a demonstration. I shot the rifle with the suppressor off. I shot it with it on. When you shoot one of those rifles with the suppressor off, you feel it in your chest. It is a dramatic difference with and without. This to me is a no-brainer. All we need is 2 officers to shoot the rifle in an emergency situation and they're deaf by 35.
Further discussion. Trustee Jan Miller.
I just wanted to ask the chief, how many times you use your rifle, you personally?
In the
Or
course of duty or
in the
training?
in the course of duty
How many times have rifles been fired? On
used? Yeah.
In the line
You
of
know, you mean how many times I've shot it on duty? Or what do you?
On duty, like you go to a call and there are weapons. Yes, weapons.
We've had
So
one,
do you
we've had
pull a
one
rifle?
shooting in this village so far, a school shooting in 2023.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
I guess the point of this is that I don't plan for today. I plan for the future. Okay. I want to give my officers the best equipment they can. When I hear that this is a want instead of a need, I disagree with you. This is a need for our officers and the safety of the community. The safety of the officers, They need to communicate with each other when they are shooting or if they are in a situation. If you shoot a gun without a suppressor on and you try to communicate, it's not going to happen because your ears, the deafening of the sound in a building, you just can't hear anymore. So when I hear the need versus want, I don't agree with that. It's a need. I mean, we're keeping up with society as far as every other jurisdiction that's getting them now.
Does West Bend have them? I'm asking Chief.
Lieutenant, does West Bend have them also? I know Washington County does, and I think Cedarburg does. Menominee Falls is looking at them. Hartford's looking at them.
Menominee Falls just got them, actually. Tosa has them, Mequon has them, West Bend does have them. We are literally one of the only police departments that do not have them.
Trustee Cutts.
I mean, this might be something that might never have to be used, but the whole point of this is you don't know when an emergency situation is going to come up, and you want to have them when it comes up. So I am in full support of this.
Further discussion? Trustee Warren.
You're on the practice range quite a bit with these rifles, aren't you?
We practice quarterly. We have about 6 operators that practice with the SWAT team monthly and do a 4-hour shoot monthly. So they're shooting them nonstop, but the members on the SWAT team do have suppressors already. But we shoot quarterly on the range and we shoot pistols and rifles, yes.
That's where you really need these suppressors, right?
Well, we need them for that also. However, more likely it's when you get into that situation and you shoot and you're in close quarters with another person, you don't create that flinching of pulling the trigger, or the person next to you flinching, maybe pulling the trigger on accident. The suppressors help with that. The decibel is, a normal rifle is 160. The suppressor reduces that by 20 to 30 decibels. So.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Roll call. Dollar amount. Thank you. Thank you, Jolene.
That was Rick.
Trustee Baum. I'm sorry, Trustee Warren.
Aye.
Trustee Cutts.
Aye.
Trustee Baum.
Nay.
Trustee Jan Miller.
Nay.
Trustee Borst.
No.
Trustee Pieper.
Yes.
Trustee Rick Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Kaminsky. And President Satterberg.
Aye. That motion carries. We are now on to item G, report on planning of the 4th of July activities. Administrator Crystal.
Motion to table since it's getting late. And I have a lot to say about this.
Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. We are now adjourned at 10:02. Thank you for coming tonight. Have a wonderful evening. Drive home safe. Wow, that's a close game.